I'm a senior now, but when I first saw Frostburg Dagorhir, when I first came across them, I was in my sophomore year, and I was going to the CAF, and I saw a scene on the lawn in front of Cambridge that I didn't really expect to see. There were guys out there screaming bloody murder in bizarre outfits, beating each other to a pulp with foam weapons, and they looked bizarre. I thought to myself, what is this, medieval times? You know? And everybody else, I'm sure, has the same opinion of them when they first see them, as these nerds, these weirdos. They're acting like idiots. And you know, quite frankly, they are acting like idiots, but that is what got me interested in them. I thought to myself, you know, they're out there acting like that, and they know that people are judging them, but they still do what they want to do, and they're still out there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, beating each other up. There's got to be some kind of passion. There's got to be some kind of culture, some kind of a force that is driving these guys to do what they do every day, despite what people think, despite the fact that it's outside of the norm. Josh are like the Stringer Bell and Avon Barksdale of Frostburg Dagorhir. They're very important members because they played a big role in creating the group and even reviving the group, and they're part of the reason that it's so big and successful right now. At Journey to the Land of Frost, the annual event that they have here, I actually got the opportunity to ask them how they did what they did.
Basically, it was my friends Mike Weaver and Matt Sandy had a whole bunch of weapons in their room, and they're like, this is a perfect big field, and they were like, let's start fighting. And at the time, no one had ever seen something like this. It was kind of new, because you know, movies weren't showing this kind of stuff. So we just went out, started fighting, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. We used to have this entire area would just be filled. We'd have bigger crowds than the football team, which was kind of sad but hilarious at the same time. So it was a cool startup, and that's actually how I got into it, was that startup. So I've been fighting ever since. Recruitment was weird at first because our unit we used to be Japanese, but eventually we switched over to the Templar, and that made us easier. And now we got like 30 people in the field sometimes. It was really hard at first because everyone was willing to be on the field, but they didn't want to go to actual battles, real ones, like the ones where we have like 300 people on the field. So they were kind of like, I like practicing, but I don't like going any further than that. So now most of these guys go to events too. So our ratio of getting people onto the field, the real field, is a lot better than it was back in the day.
I was fighting with a few of my friends, actually Matt, who Billy just talked about. And he said that, you know, they used to fight a lot more on campus, and they don't anymore because either people graduated or they just got lazy, like Billy was saying. People get lazy. It's how it is when there's not motivation to do things like that. I was bored and I needed something to do, and technically I just failed out of pledging a fraternity. I knew that if we started fighting, people would come back out, and we got this entire new generation. Most everyone that's fighting right now, this entire new generation of fighters that are just amazing people. We'd have people lining up and sitting all along the wood that's around the fields. And eventually some of those people got enough courage to come up and say, "Can I fight?" And I said, "Of course, I want more people to hit." So then those people came out and they brought more people and they brought more people. And once people got over the stigma of this is something dorky, it spawned this amazing practice and group of people. Because I've rebuilt this awesome community here, it's nice to be able to come back and see the development. It's a pyramid scheme for awesomeness.
Even when people look at the reasoning behind why Frostburg Dagorhir does what they do, they might still think it's bizarre and that it's weird and that it has no legitimate reason behind it. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. But when you take a deeper look, you do see that everything that these guys do, everything that they have, from their weapons to their clothes, it has a meaning behind it. And it all melts into this culture that they have, these really strong values that they have. And a lot of people can be very interested in it. In Journey to the Land of Frost, there was people sitting by watching what was going on with a lot of interest. And I actually pulled aside a certain passerby to see what he thought of it.
Yeah, pretty much we were just walking by and seeing pretty much a battlefield going on. And I've seen it and heard of it, but I've never actually done it. But it's a good thing that my room is facing this war zone, so I get to watch everything from my room. I've talked to a couple of them. They're pretty cool. I mean, obviously they came ready for war.
Some of the people who witnessed the game of Frostburg Dagorhir, the game looks quite complicated, but the rules are pretty simple. When any weapon strikes your torso, you're dead. When any weapon strikes a limb, you lose that limb. You can also die when two limbs have been hacked by a red or blue weapon. It's that simple. But there are different types of weapons with different colors, and knowing what each one does is half the battle. Weapons marked with blue tape are one-handed hacking and smashing weapons, and cannot be considered a red weapon even when used with two hands. Any weapon marked with red tape is a two-handed cleaving weapon. A red weapon must be used with both hands to count as a red weapon. All red weapons, when used two-handed, can destroy a shield with two good hard hacks. Garb and armor is a really big part of Frostburg Dagorhir. It really represents every member's character, and it symbolizes their characters in many ways. A lot of them are so serious about the garb and the armor that they have that they actually go down to Cumberland and purchase their materials from Lenny's Leather, which is actually a store, a biker store, where they sell a lot of, you know, leather things, but they actually go there with their imaginations and create all kinds of stuff.
We're pretty much all leather, as what we make is leather, but we do sell like the biker stuff, biker chains, biker chain drive wallets. If it has something to do with leather motorcycles, we're probably into it. And of course we do your t-shirts and boots and so on and so forth.
How did you get started in that? How did you get started?
I did some work for some of their friends that wanted some custom leather work done. And he told one of the DAG guys, and he came in, he said, "I understand you do custom stuff." I said, "Well, sure. What do you want?"
Right.
And that's where we started. And we just started making different pieces and doing the custom fitting. So we're like, these guys was buying stuff on the internet,
right,
and paying good money for it as well, and not quite fitting just right. And of course, when you're making something out of leather, you kind of got to fit it to the person. It's stiff. Like when you buy a new pair of leather boots, they're hard to break in. I mean, they're tough.
Right.
So we make stuff that fits very closely. And then if they need, after they try it out for a while, they come back in and get refitted and realigned, if you will. This is my 1941 Singer. This is actually a leather machine. They call it a catcher. And they fix boots and shoes and all sorts of leather. But it's a treadle, what they call a treadle machine. that's how it works with your foot. That's what gives it all the power.
Okay, do you have anything here that you could show us that you've made?
Yeah, I did some the Mork and Gork symbols for Sean, and I got they're just kind of neat. He really likes them, and it's something to do with the orcs, and he wears them in like battle and things like that. And it's just like a leather carving of the symbol in the leather, and then of course we dyed it. It's not paint; it's actual leather dye that's in them.
Right.
And that's kind of the one thing that we did. And I did a bracer for him as well. I repaired it. He got this bracer, you know, and of course, you know, that goes on your forearm and so forth. But when he got it, you know, he's a big guy, and he had these little tiny straps. I mean, they was just like real, like spaghetti straps, if you will. And he had them on there, and it was just like, you know, when he was trying to fasten it, it was just like he was getting about that much or so, and it was just being a bear. But what we did, we cut those all off, and then recut straps and dyed them and put buckles in the holes and so on and so forth, so it fits him better and it looks better.
I think the reason that garb is so essential in Frostburg Dagorhir is because it is a crucial element into creating their character for the game. Their character adds fantasy and entertainment. In Journey to the Land of Frost, I actually caught up with two members who described to me their garb and how it plays into the background of their characters.
Oh, I'm part of, I'm a squire at this moment, which means I'm not a full member yet of the Templar. It's officially called the Knights Templar of Dagorhir. So I have the traditional white and red cross, white field red cross, tabard or surcoat, whatever you want to call it, as it's historically it marks your position within either your back in the day with the Crusades and everything. It tells you which order you're a part of. There's lots of different Crusaders with different color crosses, and I used to dress up as what was called a Hospitaller Knight, which is a black and then white cross. But then I went ahead and just be a Templar full time.
I'm a Berserker, Viking of Jomsburg. Yeah, I play as a character called Ira. My backstory, basically I grew up in Trondheim in Norway, and I was a whore because I ran away from home. My mom actually died in labor, and I was taken in by some pretty awful people. These guys raided one of the places that I was in, one of the towns that I was in, and I just followed them out because of my bloodlust. Yeah, basically, that's why I have the lacing up bodice with the tits hanging out.
Shinpei, Lewis, and Joe are prime examples of the type of prejudices that people have against Frostburg Dagorhir. And I thought it would be interesting to get them in a discussion where they could share their views on what they thought of the game before they were actually educated about it.
Like, I'd never do it. I just think it's weird. Like, it's a little childish.
I just don't understand it, really. Like, the whole rules thing, like, I've never been a fan of, like, rules myself. Like, I don't like when people, like, tell me, don't do this, or you have to do this, you're on this team, or you gotta dress up, you gotta have this. You know, it just takes away the fun from me, I guess. I guess, like, in the back of my head, like, when I first saw it, I never seen like what you guys do dag before I came here. I guess, like, the first thought that came back on that, boy, this is kind of childish, you know. And, like, I guess the whole idea of just like wearing a costume and like acting as somebody else, like a knight or a king or something, you know. I guess that was my first initial thought of being a childish, you know.
And just at the beginning, I'm confusing because I've never saw them playing, and I'm curious about that. And I don't think how dress costumes, but I do think that, like, people do whatever they like and they can get exercise and they enjoy themselves and they get together with a bunch of people and they have a good time. I think that's enough.
So after the discussion with the 3 students, I offered them a challenge in regard to their opinions, and I said, you know what, why don't you actually try fighting and getting into the game at Journey to the Land of Frost? And Shinpei and Joe had very open minds about it, and they were very willing to try. Louis, not so much. I got their opinions right before they got into the game, and those are pretty funny. How do you feel about what's going on?
It looks pretty wild. Everybody's all excited, everybody beating each other up, people getting hurt. Yeah.
It's like a battle, a nation battle. Well, it needs a lot of practice and it's a kind of violent. I'm not sure how can I go through with it.
I'm not too nervous, but you know, I am a little anxious about getting hurt. I might be the first person to die.
I'll be the first one to die.
When Shinpei and Joe were fighting, it was very interesting and really funny, actually. I couldn't stop laughing. They were very hesitant while playing the game. But the Dagorhir members were so helpful to them while they were playing. You know, they were telling them, you should do it like this, and this means this, showing them the rules to everything. A lot of the members let Shinpei kill them just to let her have it. So after they were done, I also got their opinions.
It was pretty exhilarating. I didn't know how wild I could get it until I actually got there.
Well, I didn't quite get the role at first, so I believe I'm the first human being that to be killed in the field.
It's more fun than I thought it would be. It's more, has a lot more action than I thought it would be. People take it serious, people have fun with it. I think it's more than a hobby to these guys.
It's just a game, like people get together, but well, I mean the people here are really nice. They teach me how to fight and teach me the rule, and especially in the field, I was dead and I was there alone and fight someone to be killed, and someone just came to me and let me kill him.
Would I get involved in Frostburg Dagorhir? No, but I did learn a lot from this experience. The people who get involved in Frostburg Dagorhir, they're not freaks. They are just guys and girls that have a certain hobby. And they're really lucky to find something that they love so much. And I think that they're quite fortunate to be able to get out there and express themselves without being ashamed of it. What I've learned from Frostburg Dagorhir is that just like in Transformers, it is more than meets the eye.